So there's two issues here. One's the young people and one's our criminal justice system. As mayor, there's nothing I can do about the courts and sentences and stuff like that. But what I will do is I'm going to raise this with the Home Office. I'll raise this with government because our system's not fit for purpose. It really isn't. People think you go to jail if you've got a knife. We've never sent anyone to jail for having a knife. We're lucky to send someone to jail if they stab somebody. That's the reality of the situation in the UK. Now, young people, I've been working with young people for 2 decades on this sort of stuff. It's extremely complicated and it's going to take decades to fix. Starts off with fathers in the home. It starts off with early intervention. So the kids who stabbed you, we would have known 10 years ago when they were 5 that they were troubled. Primary school, if you speak to any primary school teacher about their class and they will tell you who's going to be successful, who's going to be a criminal, who's going to commit suicide, who's going to be a single mum. We know that in primary school. All the signs are there with all our children. We do nothing about it until they're causing problems. It's all too late then. We need to start nipping things in the bud. We need a lot more family intervention because the families that failed those kids have failed their other kids. And then when they have children, they're going to fail their kids. This is an intergenerational problem through some families. And we know this from the estates. No matter where you live, you always know the troubled family. You always know the family you're not going to mess with because you know there'll be repercussions. And your dad will know the same family. Go, yeah, they were like that when I was a kid. We know who these families are. We just don't do any early intervention work with them. All we do is we lock them up. And by the time we lock them up, it's all too late because they've left a wake of victims in their path. And they've also ruined their own life. And it's expensive. So we need to look at more intervention. But what I can do as mayor straight away is I'm going to ramp up stop and search. That's a tool we need to ramp up, but it's been politicized. It's now classed as racist. Now, how am I going to get around being called racist? It's easy. We look at every council ward and we hold a referendum in that council ward every year at the same time as the council election, the ward election. And they will have a ballot paper saying, do you want more stop and search in your ward? And if the people who vote in that area vote for more stop and search, they get it. And then when the police are being accused of being racist, the answer is, excuse me, no. The people who live in this area democratically voted that they wanted more stop and search. And if they don't like it, next year they can vote against it at the next election next year. We take the politics out of stop and search. Now, the reason why kids carry knives is for a plethora of reasons. One's for self-defense. One is because they're criminals themselves. One is for retribution because they intend to use it on someone. Another one is for fashion. My charity has kids showing them their knives because the fashion items is a trendy thing to have. And the reason why kids are carrying knives is because they know they're not going to get stopped and searched. They don't know anybody who's been stopped and searched. And then when we do catch somebody eventually with a knife, we don't tell anybody. I would leaflet that school. I would leaflet the local area. James Bloggs has been stopped, 15 years old, stopped with a knife. He's now being prosecuted. I would leaflet the area. So every parent and every kid goes, oh, I'm not carrying a knife because they're stopping people. Look what happened to John Bloggs. So advertise it. It's about telling the community what you're doing. And then looking at crime and antisocial behaviour in general. I've knocked on thousands of doors when I worked for the council asking, what are your priorities for the police? Surprisingly, no one ever said to me terrorism. No one ever said to me bank robbers. No one ever said to me hurty words online. The 3 things people used to say to me over tens of thousands of doors my team knocked on. The things people would say to me is youths causing antisocial behaviour. Littering in my area because the place looks a mess, and dog poo. They were the 3 top priorities. No matter what area we knocked on doors, they were the priorities. Now, I don't want the police going around fining owners of dogs. That's a council job. It's not a police job. but tackling youth-related antisocial behaviour, kids drinking in parks, taking drugs, smoking cannabis, damaging cars, all that so-called low-level antisocial behaviour ruins people's community of lives. It ruins people's quality of lives because it's every day. It doesn't stop, and no one takes it seriously. But it ruins your life. It ruins your community where you live. It then becomes a failing neighbourhood because of all the youth-related antisocial behaviour. And then once you see that, other people say, "Oh, I can commit crime here because no one cares about this area. Look at all the litter, look at all the broken windows, look at the kids drinking in the park. I can commit crime here because no one cares." It sends out the wrong signal. We need to start intervening with those young people when they're causing problems. And we don't have to wait for evidence. I've had a project called Youth Intervention Project for Manchester, and it was highly successful. What we do is when we start seeing kids engage in low-level antisocial behaviour, we speak to their parents and we say to the parents, "Did you know we stopped your child drinking in a park?" Or, "Did you know your child was sat with people smoking cannabis in the park? He wasn't smoking cannabis himself, but he was sat with people who were. And I'm giving you this information because you're his parent. What you do with that information is up to you. But how can we expect people to be better parents if we're not giving them the information for them to act on to be better parents?" I want to put a lot more responsibility back onto parents because the state isn't a parent, and it'll be a bloody poor parent when it tries to be one. So it's about enhancing that personal responsibility and holding people to account more. That's how we start tackling some of those issues. We don't need any more laws. Do you know how much law there is on antisocial behaviour? Do you know that we can evict you from your house and your whole family if you don't stop committing antisocial behaviour? Do you know that if we fine you, we can put that, if you own your house or your parents own your house, we can put the bill on the house. So if you ever sell it, the council gets the money automatically. There's that much law out there. What we haven't got are council teams, police teams, the knowledge or the backbone to actually enforce the laws that are on the books. So when people tell you there's no law against that or there's nothing we can do, like climbing on the statues in London with the Free Palestine March, believe me, there's half a dozen laws to arrest those people, but people haven't got the backbone. And that's what I want to bring back to Greater Manchester, to the police, and force the councils to do their jobs better. That's what I'll be doing.